taking very long. Of course, I thought I was going to be only the city administrator until the end of August. But fingers crossed that we'll have this position filled by, February or March, probably at the latest.
What year?
Yeah, 2022, I hope. Part of this as well is also exposing Kim to this, bringing her up to speed. And then it'll really be the recommendation from the new administration as to whether they want to have Kim fill that role of the hearing examiner and secretary, or if they want to have the new manager fill that role. There's still some questions out there about that. And I know I'm providing probably more questions than answers, but to fill this vacancy just until we can get this position filled, the recommendation is to have me move into that role so that I can sign the documents and fill that role as the secretary examiner.
Okay, great.
Question, Stina.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be appropriate or not to make this interim appointment for a certain number of days, like 90 days, and then we can come back and revisit it? Should something happen, and Mark, you wind up being the new HR manager or something, I don't really guess it's necessary, but I wanted to ask the question anyway. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I guess I can try to provide the answer. You have the flexibility to, the rules allow you to appoint me or anybody for that matter to that position. I know we've had discussions about this in the past. You could set a time frame on it that it would expire in 90 days. That's totally fine with me. And we could always revisit that if it needed to be extended or if it needed to be shortened. But you have the flexibility to do those types of things if you want.
Okay, I appreciate that. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Otherwise, I'll make a motion. Okay, I move that we appoint Mark Herrera as the interim civil service secretary examiner until the February meeting of the Civil Service Commission. And on that night, we can go forward more time or less time or whatever.
I would recommend we go at least 90 days. Not that it's necessary, but it gives us one less thing we have to worry about. Not that that's that big a deal. 90 days, so March.
Okay, then I accept that as an amended motion and make the motion with the amendment to move it to 90 days.
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right. With that, all in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed?
Congratulations, Mark. Another hat.
I think I'm doing it anyway, so it is what it is. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and then I'll start to share. I'll start with the lateral. The next item on the list is the certification of the lateral police officer list, and I can hand it off to Nick to talk about that while I'm sharing the list. How does that sound?
Perfect.
All right. I'll wait for Mark to throw that up there.
Should be able to see it now.
Yes. So we had a lateral oral board list that we established on, maybe Kim can refresh my memory. I think it was in December
6th and 7th, I know, were 2 dates. So I think they were those, December 6th and 7th. Does that sound right?
Well, the 6th and 7th was the entry level, and maybe the November.
It might have been November 29th then.
Okay, yeah. November 29th, we had a group of laterals do oral boards, and this is the list before you, certification list. I can tell you a little bit about each candidate if you'd like. Joseph Meadows works for the LA Sheriff's Office. He is from this area and wants to come back up to where his parents live. I believe it's like Bonnie Lake. Dave Doucette is a 37-year veteran of the Seattle Police Department, and he lives in Snoqualmie. And Richard Floss is a Seattle officer. I believe he's been on for a couple years. And I hate to say this because Mark's on this, but he does have a background in fire, but he did choose to go to the blue. And he's now wanting to also become a Snoqualmie police officer. And I apologize if you hear any screaming. My grandkids are here making Christmas cookies, so I tried to get as far away as I could from them. But so that's the list before you for lateral police officer.
Christina, I had a question.
Yeah.
The third candidate, I noticed his score is 60.24. I may not be remembering correctly, but I thought we only went to 70%. Anything below that didn't make the list. Could somebody please correct me or educate me?
I'd have to look that up in the meeting notes.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that you're correct. If 70 is our cutoff, so that name probably just needs to be removed.
Okay. So the other question I had, and this is just kind of general, all around question, because of the vaccine issue that's out there and the fact that, some people chose to not get a vaccine, are all the candidates that are coming before us on the list, they all have the idea that they're either going to be vaccinated or already vaccinated? We're not going to have any issues with that once we bring them on.
This is true. All of them are already vaccinated.
Okay, good enough. I just didn't want to bring somebody on and have another issue and have to go through this again. I mean, there's other reasons that maybe they will or won't make it, but I don't want that to be one of them. So I appreciate the answer.
Absolutely.
So part of that, Commissioner Fletcher, is that as part of the condition of employment that we offer them, they must be vaccinated when they start.
Oh, good.
It's
Okay.
part of the letter, yeah. So they wouldn't come on and then we would ask them to do it. It would have to be done before they would do it as a condition of their employment.
Okay. Thank you for the explanation. I appreciate it.
I have a quick question, Stina.
Yes.
I noticed that there are two other people have joined us, Sarah Grant and Peggy Shepard, that don't have their audio or video on. I would like to see at least the video, if that's okay. Because if we were all in the same room, we would be sitting there looking at each other anyway.
Sounds good.
All right, well, that-
Requesting that all, I can't see everyone's video, so I'll just request that everyone have their video on for this meeting. Okay. And I have an additional question for this list, and apologies, can you remind me what happens after the certification?
Thank you, Peggy.
I can answer that. Once the list is certified by the commissioners, that gives, the opportunity for the chief to then recall these candidates to do a chief's interview or a command interview, if you will, with myself and the chief. And then if we determine that we want to proceed, then they go into polygraph and background and psychological and medical.
Okay. Okay, great. And then one additional question, because I know in the past we've had like a panel interview with one of the civil service commissioners, and then it goes on to the chief, I believe. Can you remind me what the distinction is between those different types of interview loop processes?
Absolutely. So the oral board is where the commissioners have participated in the oral board process, which I know that you have done a couple of times. And so that is this list that is established here for their oral board score that a commissioner would sit on if they were available.
Okay. So those meetings already happened, because I remember there were some that had been offered up, and I know I wasn't able to attend. So that piece of the process has already happened. Now we're at the list, and then we're going to move forward from there.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Okay, does anyone else have any following questions?
No. Sarah, if you're listening, you need to turn your video on, please, just because we don't know who you are, and a face associated with a name is, I think, important for the meeting.
Hey, Rod, just FYI, sometimes people will call in and they'll still get their name up there or their phone number will be there, and they could be driving or something like that and just listening in and unable to turn on their video. So I don't know if that's the case with Sarah Grant, but I'm just sharing that because that has been my experience with other people that haven't had their videos on.
Does anybody know who Sarah Grant is?
I do not.
Off the top of my head.
But these are open public meetings, so anybody can attend.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's why I say if it was open and public, sitting there in a room, we would see each other. So it's kind of a moot point, but well, stickler with me.
Okay,
I have no further questions of the certification.
okay, great.
So I move to accept the 2 candidates that are on the certified list for lateral level police officer and move it forward.
I'll second it.
Okay. All those in favor of certifying this list of 2 members, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay.
So let me bring up the other list. Just give me 1 second. Alrighty. Let me see here. Share screen. So this list was done on the same memorandum as the other one, but I will just share with you the names and the scores because it's a pretty long list. You'll see there's 9 candidates. Just as a reminder, the civil service rules allow the list to contain 3 names for 1 vacancy, and then 1 additional name for each additional vacancy. Currently, the police department has 7 vacancies. So we're presenting 9 names from the entry-level testing process, and I'll hand it off to Nick.
Thank you, Mark. So same process. We had 2 days of testing, December 6th and 7th, and we had a total of, I believe, 14 entry-level candidates apply and do an oral board via Zoom. And out of that, you have the results here before you. Fuzzy was trying his best to try and participate in this, but just with scheduling, it just wasn't possible to, but I do appreciate him trying to make it work as much as possible.
I actually had to go to work partway through the second day, so since I couldn't be there for the whole thing, I couldn't do any of it. So
Right.
I think I've got that fixed now. I try not to let my job get in the way. I know the boss, so I think the future looks bright.
Good.
If there's no questions, I'll make the motion to move it forward. So I move to,
Oh, sorry, Fuzzy. I actually do have a question.
okay.
Yeah, just looking at the scores between this list and the last, Nick, I don't know if you could give a little context around maybe the differences between these certification tests.
I certainly can. So the difference between the 2 essentially is that for laterals, they do not have to take a physical agility or a written test. They only have to essentially apply with us and that they're working police officers, or that there's an exceptional category within the civil service rules that are less than 2 years experience, but through a police academy. Though the 2 that are on the list are considered laterals because they've been police officers longer than 2 years and are certified police officers, whether it be in Washington or another state like California, like the number one candidate. For the entry level, these folks need to apply with public safety testing that we contract with, who handles the physical agility and the written examination. So then we do a different set of oral board questions that are not for experienced police questions, more generalized questions, and then we take the combined score of their written and their oral board score to give you the score that you see before you. And there were two that had veterans preference. I can't remember which ones they were, but those 10% were also applied.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's helpful background. Does anyone have any follow-on questions?
And just real quick, you need how many of the 9, Nick?
All of them. Well, basically what Mark was explaining is that since we have 7 vacancies, you typically will give us, like you saw in the lateral, there were 3 candidates. If that third one had actually passed, you would have given us all 3. If there were, because we have 7 vacancies, because for every vacancy you get another one over the 3. If there had been 9 laterals on that list that we had tested, we would have seen 9 names. Since the lists are independent of one another, we get 9 names of the entry level because there were 14 candidates. And so that's why we get 9 names to us. Now, what happens with this is if we call back all 9 of them, which we will, we have the opportunity to, let's say 1 and 2, we want to move forward. 3, 4, and 5 aren't great fits for us. Then we can, start looking at 6, 7, and 8. And so every time that we decide that somebody isn't a good fit for Snoqualmie, we can ask Mark to give us a few more names and replace some of the ones that were deemed not fit to move forward.
Yes, the way that process would work, and as I understand it, would be is that if they don't pass the remaining part of the test, then we would bring the list back and add those additional names and have them certified by the commission for the follow-up interviews. So there is additional steps where they can wash off of this list and then be replaced, because I believe there was 14 total names on the entry level. Is that correct, Nick?
Yes.
Okay.
Any additional questions?
I'm good.
All right.
I'm good.
Seeing none, I move to certify this list.
Second.
All right. All those in favor of certifying this list of 9 individuals, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
Alrighty, let me go back to the agenda. I think this is the agenda. So the only thing left is just the adjournment of the meeting, and the next meeting's on January 5th. So I'll hand that off to you guys, unless there's any other business that you want to talk about.
I have nothing further. Anyone else?
I'm good. I will not be here for the meeting in January.
Okay, and Mark, I wanted to add something to Stinny, if you don't mind. I have a copy of the last document for the rules and policies or rules and regs that Mandy sent out. So if by some weird chance you can't find it in her stuff, it's on my email, and IT can go get it, or I'll send it to you either way. But I have the last version that she sent out.
Oh, that's great, Fuzzy. If you want to just forward that on to me, that would be great. There's no hurry because I don't plan on. I'm off on vacation through the end of the year, but this is one of the things on my first list to dos when I come back, because this meeting's going to come up pretty quickly.
Okay, I'll email it to you over the next few days.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's it for me.
All right, thanks, Busy. All right, thanks, everyone. So with that, sorry, again, you have to remind me, do I need to,
You can
request-
accept, yep, you can
we-
accept a motion to adjourn is what you can do, and then they can vote on it.
So
I make a
moved.
motion to adjourn.
Second?
All right, all those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right.
Merry
Thanks,
Christmas,
everyone.
everybody. We'll see you in January.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Happy
Christmas to you guys
holidays.
too.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.